Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. Yes, we made it through another week. Congratulations to us. And I'm thrilled to have a true rock star CMO, and I don't use that lightly, today to chat all things marketing with Grant. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Evan?
I'm living the dream, but thanks so much for being here. Followed each other on social media for some time, and I've always been intrigued by you and your work. Before we dive in with lots of questions, maybe introduce yourself, a little bit about your background and your roles, both at Billtrust'ss and the CMO collective collaboration that you founded so many years ago.
Grant Johnson, I've been a B2B tech vet for my whole career. I'm a five-time CMO, and I am just passionate about marketing, passionate about building businesses and helping others succeed. That's why I got involved in the CMO Collaborative. In fact, I have a site called CMO Mentor, cmomentor.com, where I provide best practices advice for CMOs and aspiring CMOs, how to get there faster. And Billtrust'ss, we help companies get paid faster. Speaking of faster, we handle everything from order to cash for B2B companies. And we don't sell to consumers, so we're purely B2B, and we help everything with automating financial processes, especially in taking the order, generating electronic invoices, taking payments, and getting paid so you can run your business better.
I love that. What an elevator pitch. I love getting paid in general. So
I think we all
good stuff. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But maybe, talk a little bit about your marketing experience. In particular, to me, it's sort of the best of times, the worst of times story with marketing and social and digital. So many opportunities, so many challenges. Where do you start? Where do you start when you think about growth and focus and where to invest time, effort, energy, dollars? Maybe give us a bit of your philosophy, if you would, around that.
I think the definition of marketing for B2B vets, B2B tech folks especially, is about setting expectations of what marketing can do, because it's probably the most subjective of the various functions within a business. Like you need your code without errors, or you balance the books precisely, but marketing is very subjective. So what I do is when I'm starting a company at the beginning of each year, I align with the rest of the executive team. What are our key goals? And we have various objectives we're trying to achieve. We're going to grow revenue. We're going to increase net retention, a great one for SaaS companies. We're going to lower the cost per customer acquired. We're going to increase the speed to which we can resolve any issues to have great support, net promoter scores. And then I think about, with the team I have, the budget I have, how can I best drive growth, support these key objectives? I'll say, for example, that there's something like, hey, we're going to migrate from X platform to Y platform. That's a pretty technical thing and might have to do with some, cloud. I can't really help that. But almost everything else from, go to market, employee engagement, driving our presence in the marketplace, strategic communications like PR and analyst relations and social, as you said, and digital savvy, all these things we can really help in marketing. So I sort of prioritize and align marketing objectives to company objectives, team objectives to marketing objectives, individual objectives to team objectives. And so people have, most companies these days have MBOs, whether you're bonusing them or not, you're sort of tracking management by objective, and everything's, in my mind, is very metrics driven. You still need the great creative breakthroughs. I mean, we'll talk about brand at some point and what I came up with at a number of companies that I think makes a difference, that you can't just calculate. There's those intangibles. But that's the general approach to whether it's the first 90 days or the planning for the new fiscal year.
Love it. Well, that's a very succinct summary of your philosophy there. The other thing that comes across in your work and your writing is your passion for team work, for team development, which everyone pays lip service to, but is harder to do in real life in terms of helping your team members grow and succeed and nurture their passions and mentor and all that good stuff. Maybe talk about that. Any advice or effective ways folks can be better at developing their teams?
Yeah, I think you just have to fundamentally care about people and their well-being. I think COVID changed the world, right? I've always been driven. You don't get to head of any function without being driven. I get that. But I wasn't always as empathetic as I feel I am today. Now, my kids are, my number one focus, but, on my team, I try to connect with everybody individually, whether they're direct report, one or two levels on a regular basis. Hey, how you doing? I remember during COVID, like, are you finding, work-life balance? Are you going crazy, not going to the office? Are you going crazy with roommates surrounding you, trying to do Zoom calls? How are you feeling, right? If you taking the vaccine or not, that's your choice. But, so I think that's really key. And then trying to take an interest in what drives that particular person. People have asked me, your management style. Well, if you're in trouble and your team's not performing, you're going to get a lot of my attention. If you're knocking it out of the park, I'll just say, go faster, keep going, right? Keep swinging, whatever it is, right? But I think you have to care about people. They have to sense that. If people have a good bullshit meter, like, are you genuine? I don't know how to be anything other than what you see is what you get, authentic. And I think people sort of, they like that. There's no pretense. Sometimes early in your career, you're trying to prove something. If you can be yourself, there's nobody else like you. That's my best advice. And then you put together a plan for that individual to how they can grow. And really, people will come to me telling me, like, Chris, I want to be promoted. I said, really? What makes you think that? And I said, well, I've spent this amount of time. I said, well, why don't we co-create? You tell me what you can do. I'll give you guidance. I'll get feedback. And together we'll look at the milestones. And by the time you're ready to be promoted, people will think I'm stupid if I don't promote you because you've been exceeding all the metrics or expectations. So I think a lot of times early in somebody's career, and I'm not going to say whether you're boomer or you're X or Y or Gen Z, it doesn't really matter. You have to have objective evidence that you've made the next leap. And it's hard for some people to hear that initially, but generally people come around to it. And you can get to that end goal with a good plan and solid, consistent execution.
I love that. Well, you started with a bit of the warm and fuzzy, feel good, and right to the execution side. Speaking of which, I know from your bio, you've helped many companies double their revenue. Not exactly an easy proposition to do multiple times. So, what's your strategy there? I wish it were that simple to summarize in a minute or two, but you must have some unique insights.
I wish it were too. Look, first of all, I've been fortunate. I think I've turned down some opportunities that was smart in retrospect. So I picked good opportunities. I have like a 7-point criteria. We'll go into another time, but in general, you're sort of thinking about the market, the management team, the culture, the customer base, and opportunities and all that. And how doubled again as an organization. And it's not necessarily double overnight. Sometimes it's taken a couple years. Sometimes it's taken 4 years. Pegasystems doubled, Kofax doubled, Silence doubled, and Burst doubled. Yeah, so I've had a few doubles, and some have taken longer than others. But it's really determining what are the growth levers. And sometimes it's organic. Sometimes it's through M&A, and many times it's a combination of both. And where can we compete most effectively? So in some cases, it's expand the product line. Other cases, go into new geographies. Other cases, it's really increase the cross sell, which is something that was quite successful at Burst. We doubled in the first year we did cross sell. We doubled again, and at that point the math got harder, so we only went up by 50% the third year. As the base gets bigger, it's harder to double. But I think stay in the course, measuring, being agile. I love obviously all the tools that are at the disposal of a modern CMO, the Gen AI and the tech stack, and everybody's adding, more automation and insights to their application. So you measure everything, and you put gas where it's working, and you stop doing things that don't work, and then ultimately you can increase the efficiency of both your team and the dollars that you put to invest, and work cross functionally. Sometimes we're growing channel partners versus direct market. Other times we're growing one vertical versus mid market. So I think it's a combination. I wish there was a 1-minute equation. It's a lot of hard work, but having the right company with the right team, it's a good start.
Well said. The other thing you've seen quite a bit of are mergers and acquisitions, and we've all seen them in our careers. Some good, some go sideways for other reasons. What's your take on making acquisitions work before, during, after, and the impact on culture and disruption and change, which is never easy?
I've got a couple great examples for you. But first of all, I think that you absolutely should be, this due diligence, and you're looking before you're meeting the people, you're getting the feel for it, you're looking at, what are the issues that you're going to have to inherit and deal with. But I'll give you an example where it worked and, where it didn't work, and why culture is just paramount. So we had acquired a company when I was at Kofax. They were called Kapow. And they're still part of Kofax, whatever Kofax has now changed their name since I left. I won't go there. But I flew up to the Bay Area. We acquired the company, and we had a blue logo, and they had a purple logo. And they said, "Look, I don't want to be part of this Kofax culture." I said, "Yeah, but we're growing, and we're investing in you, and this product's going to help us." And no, not. I want to go back to a startup. So there was nothing I could do. There was nothing the company could do. I mean, I personally, my third day on the job, I flew up to this company we just acquired to try to convince them. So it's not going to always work. So you got to make sure the culture, like, who are the influencers? What's the founder going to do? What were people's career paths? Did they all just join, or they've been there 5 years, or cashing out? You got to understand that part, because if you're really buying the intellectual property and the people walk off the door. So that's the case where it didn't work. Another case, we merged with Perceptive out of Kansas City, and we were based in Irvine, California, when I was at Kofax. And I met with the team. There's a lot of trepidations, like everything's going to be decided from California. We've lost our autonomy. We'll have no influence. So I actually was sort of a case study where I said, you know what, I'm going to just rebalance the team. So this person in Kansas City manages this person in Irvine. We had Sweden. This person in Irvine manages this person in Sweden. This person in Sweden manages this person in Kansas City, whatever. We sort of blended the team. And so we were all one team with one common goal, to grow the collective businesses. And I had very little attrition. I think if I just sat there, this is back when you used to go to offices, right? If I just sat there on a speakerphone and said, "Here's what we're going to do, guys, let's go," they would have ran screaming to the door. But instead, it worked out, and I'm still in contact with a lot of those folks. In fact, I've mentored 15 CMOs, and
wow.
One of those was she was on the fence at the time, and so that was a positive culture experience. But you're absolutely right. You need all the due diligence, the financial savvy, but the people, you got to bring them along, and they want to be part of the go forward business. Otherwise, you want to determine that fast, so your fence sitters can really hurt you.
Great point. Yeah, participation is key. This is a question I ask a lot of people with so many areas in marketing now to focus on, so many platforms, niches, social. I'm on about 12 different platforms right now. How do you does your team decide where to invest your, not just money, but time, effort, energy for optimal growth?
Yeah, it's a constant challenge. I've got about 40 folks on the marketing team, about the right size for a company, with our revenue. And I've always leaned heavily into digital. I was fortunate early in my career when my first CMO gig at Pegasus from 09 to 13, and things were just kind of taking off. I had peers that were at HubSpot and, Eloqua and, Marketo and so forth. So, we're kind of pushing the envelope with each other. And now it's sort of like it's given that you've got to be digital, and more digital with Gen AI than ever before. We try to have a good marketing mix, because we sell to, a B2B is considered purchase. There's a buyer committee. There's multiple people at different levels, and you want to engage them. Some prefer to watch your short content, what I call snackable, content videos. Some might read one of your white papers. There's no one way. Some will come to the webinar, watch it on demand, or watch it live, come to an event, want to, press, shake hands and so forth. So you have to have the right mix. I do lean more towards what I can measure and what I can scale faster. Like, I don't think I can add 10x events and get the same pipeline, but certainly I can add 10x a variety of digital tactics. And we do all the usual things. We do content syndication, SEO, and search engine advertising, and retargeting, and nurture streams. And so we just kind of balance all that. And then I encourage the team to experiment. Last year, I had the team, my director of content marketing led this. We did 400 Gen AI experiments, and we've now adopted 15. Because everybody can automate some part of the job. Yeah, sure, content writing is a lot easier than graphic design or maybe marketing operations, but there's new tools all the time. It's a great time to be in marketing. So I think you just have to maintain the balance. And I put my energy where I think it needs the most help, or where I have the most interest. And so that's kind of how I sort of balance my and my team's time.
Well said. Well, that's a great model for all of us out here. And speaking of AI and Gen I mean, I feel in the last year I've gone from my little team of three to having an AI virtual team of 10 based on all the tools and the new tech stack I'm using. And it's phenomenal. I can't believe how much my life has changed personally, professionally. But in a bigger organization, what do you think a marketing leader's job will be now in this new world of AI, Gen AI moving forward?
Yeah, I've always been one you have to embrace the technology
Mm.
and you have to figure out where it fits in the overall equation. And it can supplement, augment what you're doing. And I've had my team always try new things. And sometimes they'll come to me and say, hey, we were using this, but this is better. Can we swap? Well, yeah, as long as it's cost neutral or maybe even save money and find a better tool. So we look at all our vendors' roadmaps and where they're adding AI. So whether it's our chat or our marketing automation, our ABM platform or web technology, and you look at what they're adding, what we can take advantage of, and then make sure we don't break something when you add something. That's always something when you've got a tech stack and you're connected to systems of record like Salesforce. You got to be careful, that one change doesn't cause another problem. But yeah, I think I tend to hire people that have intellectual curiosity as well and want to
Mm.
continue improving, right? Because we're in a competitive market, it's a dynamic market, and we've got to continue to raise our game. And so let's leverage technology where possible. We can only work so many hours, and I'm a big believer in work-life balance. Come to work excited on Monday, not exhausted. So you do need to take time off.
Well said. So you've been involved in all aspects of the marketing game, but it's different B2B, but also marketing to small businesses, mid-size, large global enterprises, very different propositions these days. Maybe talk about the challenges of each of those, categories. And are you currently at Billtrust'ss, for example, serving all those different size businesses as well?
Yeah, we're currently not serving small business. I've done that. I've
Mm-hmm.
done B2C, but I ran Norton brand worldwide back when they had packaging and you could buy store the downloading software, SaaS, on
When you
fan.
used to buy software,
You
shrink
remember that?
wrap. Wow, what a
We got a
day it
little
was.
gray hair
Yes.
to prove that we remember those crazy days. And I was part of the yellow box team for Santa. But anyway, yeah. So small business and burst, we had the Emburst card. They had that, and so anybody could get, card that gave you cash back and manage your expenses 2 for 1. A lot of other companies do that, like a Brex, for example. And so we don't do that. We have because we're helping companies get paid faster. We're managing hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of invoices. Small businesses, they're not
Wow.
going to generate enough to where it doesn't mean they shouldn't digitize and but they're not the best fit for our capability, our broad platform. We call it unified accounts receivable, unified AR. And so for us, the corporate or mid market and enterprise, what we try to do is determine what what the key buying criteria would be, and we really start by selling the business value. A lot of companies call it the as is and the to be. So we say, look, here's a problem you're trying to solve. If once we work together, because it takes people, process, and technology, here's the outcomes you can achieve, the ROI, payback period, wherever it might be. And we find that if we make the business value tangible and the prospect agrees, it's not our calculation. They have to use their own numbers. And then we get a lot of great case studies where we show that we've dramatically shortened the DSOs, day sales outstanding. We've improved, time it takes to lower the days. We have a days to pay index that we've aggregated billions of dollars of payments data that we manage, and we can tell every vertical, every segment, like, are you getting paid faster or slower? And if you're getting paid slower, hey, we can help you get paid faster with our technology.
Mm.
So you have to approach it, uniquely to that segment and in many cases to that vertical, so that it resonates. People like to buy from companies who have sold to people they know, in their field. And so the peer influence and our community and our reference program and our, Billtrust'ss Insight that we're doing in April and in Phoenix, Arizona. All these things make a difference to try to influence the buyer to consider us and the customer to stay with us. In fact, hopefully grow over time.
Nice, great strategy. So beyond Billtrust'ss, talk about the CMO collaborative that you founded and built and nurtured into quite an interesting organization. What's the ongoing mission, and how can folks participate?
Yeah, there's chapters. CMO Collaborative is a website. There's, I think, 24 chapters. In fact, I'm
Mm.
driving after this call to LA. I'm in Southern California, so there's LA, Orange County, and San Diego. It's just big metropolis, right? And we have an in-person luncheon meeting, and there's a lot of virtual teams. One of the reasons there was something called the CMO Club. Salesforce bought them, then they shut it down, and so the CMO Collaborative was founded. I'm not a co-founder of CMO Collaborative. I'm just the
Okay.
co-founder of the LA chapter, right? So LAOC in San Diego.
Aha.
I said, look, I'll help get this thing rolling. I've been doing it for a decade. And so the fundamental is you got each other's backs. We're helping each other with
Mm.
best practices. We have monthly expert webinars on how to use Gen AI, how to grow your career, how to influence the C-suite. And you can just pick up the phone, private conversations, because like most CMOs, I can't go to the CEO and say, I'm stuck. Well, I could. And he would appreciate the fact that I was honest, but he wouldn't be able to probably help me brainstorm. But how about, let me just, get a couple CMOs on a Zoom or Teams call and say, hey, what have you done here? Plus, you can just set up one-on-ones and you've got each other's back. You're helping each other grow and achieve your goals. And it's good to have that, trusted peer in your network, because you can't go it alone. And that's what the CMO Collaborative, we're collaborating together for the greater good.
I love that, and I love peer groups, and it sounds like it's a real community versus lots of masterminds. People want to charge you money or charge you to be a coach or mentor. Not always the best option. Well, so excited! You got your big event coming up in Phoenix at Billtrust'ss. What else are you excited about over the next couple months? What's on your radar, personally, professionally,
Yeah, well,
otherwise?
personally, and thanks for asking, I am going to my fourth straight nationals. 32 people in the
Ooh,
U.S.
very
You have to
nice.
be a tennis player. In Orlando, I get to
Wow.
play clay again, which is great because I'm not super fast, but I'm super consistent. And they do it age groups, 18, 30, 50, whatever. And so I'm at a 4.0. And so I'm training for that. I've got a lot of tennis buddies. And then I'm going to go watch semis tomorrow in the desert, Indian Wells, if you're a tennis fan. So that's the personal stuff. And by next year, my third kid goes off to college. So you've got the whole story there. Professionally, I'm excited about getting us to doubling, right? I've only been here a year. It didn't happen overnight. And we've got we got a good team. We've got a lot of good strategies and product. And, we've just got the overall mindset. How can we get better every day? And so I think that's what I'm excited about. Obviously, our customer conference, we called it Inside the Row. We went to 4 cities. We had kind of these 50-person gatherings instead of a multi-100-person gathering. But we want to do the bigger conference, the bigger stage, some keynote speakers. We're excited about that. So, yeah, it's a combination of those two things. Never a dull moment, but every once in a while, time to take a breath.
Oh, I love it. Well, you really appreciate your passion and your insights, and it was fun just chatting with the audience here for a few minutes. Reach out and follow, connect with Grant on LinkedIn. He's prolific and has just tons of great insights and comments. And thanks everyone for watching. Appreciate your likes, shares as always. Thanks, Grant.
My pleasure. Have a great rest of the day.
You too. Take care, everyone.